Eh, is there an update? Is it
It's summer vacation, he's with our dad, he's getting back to north. Soccer game last night.
I was thinking, you came, you, me, the chief came over. And let's see, Sophie was just a little girl. Now she's a young lady. I didn't have any kids. I just got 2 little kids. Watch these kids grow up. It's great. No, no.
Huge reminder today.
Absolutely. I'm off to see my grandkids in 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nashville. I'm living in Orlando. I live in Lake Valley.
Yeah, in Orlando, right?
Yeah, in Orlando.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it, love it.
What part, like,
It's east, I'm 45 minutes from Cocoa Beach and I'm 30 minutes from downtown. The area up there called Medical City. God knows at my age I need
You
it.
need to be around it. Yeah, I agree.
You know, now I'm with a nurse. We've been together 8 years and it's all good. All good. Just plugging along. Still come here to the Mount Sinai Cancer Center for my issue. I just come in one day and take my blood and they do all the things. And yeah, I've got established some new doctors, but I want to stay with this oncologist. He found it and he's treating it. No cure for it. It's all good. Enjoying it.
Sorry, sir.
Hey, what's going on?
Doing good?
Good seeing you, man.
They're coming over this week for a tour of the.
Yeah, I just told Paul.
Yeah.
Because he was there when we did it the first time, I believe, in end of October.
Yeah.
October 28th, they still work?
So we're gonna do a tour of that and then 19th hole and everything. So.
Thank you.
Absolutely, of course.
I saw you guys were at the game
Yeah.
and they actually won.
Yeah.
Because Myra.
I know. I'll say hello really quick. That's what Mikey said. That's up. Really good. Everything's great.
You're the guy. I was like, what's guy on the golf cart? He's like,
I had a golf shirt and uniform all the time.
Oh, that's it. Look at the simple logo.
I like that.
Without that.
Things are good.
With all the tournaments from 1905.
Yeah. Please.
Painted all the inside, we made the inside. Have we done the deep clean yet?
They're almost done painting. So they did have to do the trim.
So these are the 9U river shows.
Next year.
Softball or baseball?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, things are really good. Been busy. So yeah, anytime you're around, please let JC know. We'll take a tour and get out there. Keep it going. We'll keep it going. Oh no, yeah. Yeah. I'll go by next week.
I don't take, people think about this. I work just as much, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
One of the two.
Is like twice the. And it's.
Yes. Stay co-host and Sylvia.
Sylvia, I don't think she can.
Okay. Can I promote her as, I don't think I can. I think only I can do that. Yeah. Ay, medio calor. You don't feel it hot here?
Oh, nice looking. It looks really nice.
You ready for August?
I don't know. It's pretty. I don't say no, they got in like, yeah. And you know, I always, whenever I go in every 2 months, por la nena. So.
I was supposed to meet with him. I brought a whole case of beer. He said, yeah, I can put it on the buffet. Yeah, that's the thing about Stan Bolívar.
It sounds good.
So.
I told her, I was like, no, yo le dije, no, yo. I think it should let you know if I. I said, no, those kids are really disciplined, man.
Didn't work out. Yeah, so either way.
Se pueden sentar, please. Please have a seat.
Are we waiting on anybody? Erica?
Mayor's.
The mayor's gonna be online.
Oh, sister. Okay. So you're opening.
Okay. Call this meeting to order at 7:01. Erica, call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Fahet,
Here.
Councilman Santeen,
Here.
Councilwoman Bravo. Here. Councilman Vasquez.
Here.
There is a quorum present.
Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Invocation will be read by Councilman George Santeen.
Lord, Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Today, I pray for our mayor and all levels of city officials in Miami Springs, in particular for this assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant us the wisdom to govern and amid conflicting interests and issues of our time and thirst of justice and rightness. All I ask this in your name, Jesus Christ.
Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. In order of business, if we could just look ahead to the consent agenda, are there any of these items in 9A through D that anybody wants to pull?
I don't, I don't.
At this time, no.
No?
For me.
Okay. All right, so we will continue then. We will continue with awards and presentations. We begin with 4A, presentation of recognition of service to Paul Odell, Golf and Country Club Director for 11 years of dedicated service to the city of Miami Springs from April 15, 2013 to April 24th, 2024. Paul, come on up. I'd like to ask Paul to say a few words, and then we've got a little presentation for you.
Well, it's been 11 years here. Made a lot of friends, and it's been fun. We've come a long way, and I certainly didn't do it by myself. I mean, I have to recognize Lori Bland, Mason, you got the council, and the mayors that before you that and council before you that believed in me and that we could turn this thing around, because it had lost $10 million in 10 years, or $10 million in 10 years, $800,000 to $900,000 a year for 10 years in a row. We turned it around. We made money the last 2 years I was here, and you've got a great product. You got the best product in South Florida, and you've invested in it. It just benefited from getting 17 inches of rain, and you had greens that could drain for a change.
Yeah.
So, well, things have gone well, and I've enjoyed it here, and I made a lot of friends. First time I got here, the first meeting, I had police officers kind of like now wrapped up around the council, and that's when they told me about all the losses. Officer Capote got here and ran them off year by year. I thought, wow, what did I get myself into here? Not too late to go back to Dallas, but stayed here, and it all worked out well. Really had a good time, and appreciate everybody's support. And it was a good time, and I'm leaving you in great shape. You got a young man here now as your director. He's got 3 children. He's raising here. So embrace him. Always take care of the golf course. The words I can give you. Maintain it. Everything exists there. As I've told you before, it all exists because of the golf course. The buildings, you could use your upgrade to the clubhouse, no doubt about it, because it represents the city. It's not just a clubhouse, it's part of the city. But that'll come in time, and it's certainly after my time gone. So thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Paul, come on up. We got. I'm going to present you. All right, so we have 2 things we're going to present to Paul for all his years of service. So this is a certificate of appreciation presented to Paul Odell, Golf and Country Club Director, in recognition of 11 years of dedicated service to the city of Miami Springs, presented this 28th day of May 2024. Right. About a round of applause. Picture them. We got one more thing for you. And we've also got this very nice something for you to put on your shelf to remember us by. And again, in gratitude for your service. So thank you, Paul. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hold on, this will stay up here. Let the police recognize the officer. Can I say something? Can I say something? Hey, Paul, before you leave, I just want to say that it was a true honor and pleasure working with you. You're a top-notch professional from the first moment I met you almost 4 years ago, and working with me on attracting other groups to come in and use the golf course. And you will be missed, my friend. I know you said it was a group effort, but group efforts must have good leadership. And that's what you've done, sir, for 11 years. You deserve the break, my friend. Take care and God bless you. Okay, next we're going to be recognizing the Officer of the Month for May 2024. We're going to ask Chief Deal to come on up.
Evening, Council. Council, this is Sergeant Ronnie Gonzalez. He nominated Officer Stephen Torres for Officer of the Month for May, and he'll read you his nomination letter in some other words.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be reading my nomination letter and then I'll just be saying a quick couple words for him. On May 11th, 2024, Officer Torres conducted a traffic stop on a silver Nissan for legal front tints at the 900 block of South Roy Ponciano Boulevard. While speaking to the driver, Officer Torres observed a black satchel across the driver's chest. After the driver consented to a search of said satchel, Officer Torres discovered numerous individually packaged baggies of suspected cocaine. Also, while conducting a search, the defendant, an additional 9 Oxycontin pills and 3 baggies of suspected methamphetamine were also located in the defendant's right pocket, weighing a total of 1 and 1.5 grams, respectively. A further search of the vehicle uncovered a baggie of suspected MDMA. This arrest led to 5 total charges, including 1 for possession with intent to sell and 3 for singular possession. On May 17th, 2024, Officer Torres responded to one of our local hotels in reference to a suspicious vehicle. Officer Torres located the vehicle and made contact with the driver and passenger. While speaking to the driver, Officer Torres observed a bulge through his tank top, which was consistent with a holstered handgun. For officer safety reasons, the driver was disarmed and both occupants were asked to step out of the vehicle. Officer Torres observed in plain sight a small purple container which appeared to have crystal methamphetamine. The passenger was observed attempting to conceal a baggie with methamphetamine. Both occupants were arrested and charged with possession of a controlled substance armed. Officer Torres ended the month with 13 arrests. 8 of them were felony charges, 6 warrants, and 2 traffic charges. Even with all the arrests, Officer Torres still managed to enforce traffic on a daily basis and led the department in traffic citations. Officer Torres has maintained a high level of professionalism and work ethic, and it is also noted that Officer Torres is still in his probationary year. And is performing exceptionally well. Due to the aforementioned incidents, I'm recommending that Officer Stephen Torres receive the Officer of the Month for May 2024. And just a few more words. I believe it's because of officers like him and our entire police department that the city of Miami Springs is in general a very safe community. And I said community instead of city or town because even though we are a municipality, I feel like we are a lot more close knit than your average community, than your average city, and we work very well together. With that being said, it's my honor and my pleasure to present the award for Officer of the Month of May 2024, Officer Stephen Torres.
You want to say anything? Sure.
Good evening. Just wanted to quickly thank the council for taking the time out of the schedule for the recognition. Chief Dio, I appreciate, I know you had a lot to go into this. Thank you to Sergeant Gonzalez, Sergeant Vargas, my two sergeants on the afternoon shift. I know they always got my back, and I know they vouched for me a lot to receive this award. We don't do this job for a pat on the back, but I do really appreciate, the recognition. I don't feel like I did anything extraordinary. I just show up to work every day. I work hard. I consider Miami Springs to be my home, so I try and keep it safe. A lot of people don't think anything happens in Springs. It's because we're out there, trying to do our part, and that's what we like to do. And hopefully we can keep this going on a monthly basis. We got a lot of hardworking officers out here, and it's nice when we get recognized. Even though we don't look for that pat on the back, it's nice when the city, sees the hard work that we're putting out there. So thank you for that, and thank you guys, everybody.
Thank you, Officer Torres. Officer Torres, do you have family that you want to take pictures with? Do you have any family here? Why don't you take a picture with your family and maybe a picture with your commanding officers?
If I may, real quick, you probably are going to see a lot more of this monthly because
Right.
as these younger officers get off of field training, there's plenty of trash out here to clean up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to say something?
Officer Torres, you've been busy. I appreciate your humility. I know that this is not for the recognition. This is what you signed up for. And it's a great reminder to us as a community. The work that you do on a daily basis, and every time you approach a vehicle, you never know. And we appreciate that you're here, and we appreciate his nomination. And congratulations again to you and your family. God bless you.
Sorry, one more picture. with
Sure,
all
go
the
right
officers.
ahead. Thank you.
To the chair. And for the record, I just want to let you know, we're always going to make time for you, for our team, for our fleet. No matter if it's a recognition, no matter if it's something that you need, you're a priority of ours, just like we are a priority to you for our safety. So never justify. Thank you for taking the time out to recognize you. I love to see you guys here. Okay.
All right, next up, we will recognize and congratulate the Miami Springs All-Stars 9U team as District 8 champions. I'd like to call up Fred Gonzalez. Fred, before you speak, I just want to, a note of housekeeping on the agenda. The other officer who is getting the life-saving award, that's being deferred. So 4D and 4E, which is recognizing the rec basketball team, those two are getting deferred. So take it away, Fred.
Vice Mayor and Council, thank you for having Miami Springs Little League here again for what is becoming an annual occasion, especially with this group of families behind me. As you know, summer baseball season is dominated by our Little League program, which this past weekend won the 10U District 8 title for the third consecutive season. And our highly accomplished 12U group begins play this Thursday at Prince Field, seeking its third consecutive District 8 title. So please come out to support. But however, the group here today likes to be the first when it comes to championships. Last year, they won the first ever 8U Coach Pitch District 8 title. And earlier this month, they won the first ever 9U Kid Pitch District 8 championship, sweeping Doral Little League in 2 games. A big thanks to Coach Pedro Perez and his staff of volunteer coaches and the parents, especially the parents, for their time and dedication for a long and hot and challenging season. So without any further ado, I'd like to ask the team to come up and be recognized by the council for their efforts.
So Fred, can we ask the coaches to come up first?
Sure.
So can we have Coach Eric Arrieta, Coach Romelio Cejas, Coach Miguel Iglesias, Coach Pedro Perez Jr., Coach Pedro Perez Sr., and Coach Darren Tamargo. How about a big hand for the coaches? All right, you might have to take a step back because we're going to line the kids up right there. So as I call these players, can you guys? I'll just call the names in. But I need the certificates in case they're not in the right order, right? I should call it this way. I have the list, but it may not be in the right order. Oh, the coaches get also. Okay, so actually the coaches are getting as well. Coach Eric Arrieta. All right, we'll give it to you so you can give it to him. His wife will accept it in absentia. Coach Romelio Cejas. They're the ones that really make. Coach Miguel Iglesias. Coach Pedro Perez Jr. Coach Pedro Perez Sr. And Coach Darren Tamargo. Good job, guys. I think they're in the right order. Yeah, they're in order. So you can give it to them as they come up. Okay, so when I call up the players, we'll give them a big round of applause and come grab your certificate from Councilwoman Bravo and then shake some hands and line up here. So first up, Johnny Arrieta. Adam Barron. Dylan Bonachea. Hudson Boer. He's not here. Matthew Cejas. Dominic Delgado. Ryan Horgan. Adam Iglesias. Ethan Mutu Dominic. Noah Perez. Darren Tamargo. And Sebastian Usa Torres. Not here.
I know for a second there.
To all the coaches and parents and players, thank you so much. And a special thanks for the wives supporting them. Thank you all. Fuertecito.
All right. Next up. Next up, we would like to recognize the Yard of the Month for July 2024. This Yard of the Month is at 389 La Villa Drive. It's actually down the street from me, and their yard is absolutely gorgeous. So come on up, Eduardo and Claudia Lamazares. You got to say a few words.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for this award. We have worked very hard on our garden. It's a labor of love that's taken many years, and we see the fruits of it today. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the recognition.
Thank you. Can you take a picture up here in the front?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great work, and we'll be driving by.
Ed, you do a lot of the work, right? You do a lot of the work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It
Thank
is
you for beautifying our
beautiful.
city.
Yeah.
All right, next up, 4G, we've got a presentation by Miami-Dade County Public Schools, the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs, Family and Community Engagement, and also, well, I know that one of you is not here, so I'll let you guys introduce yourselves as you come on up. Thank you.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, members of the council. I am Ailette Rodriguez Diaz, and I'm the Administrative Director with the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs and Family and Community Engagement with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Our offices are located at 1450 Northeast 2nd Avenue. My suite is 776, Miami, Florida 33132. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight. I am here on behalf of our Chief of Intergovernmental Affairs, Ms. Tabitha Fazzino, and I'm here with some of our colleagues representing the Office of Family and Community Engagement, our Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Barbara Mendizabal, and our Assistant Superintendent for Post-Secondary Career and Technical Education, Mr. Renee Mantilla. We really are just here this evening to thank the city for being a strong partner to Miami-Dade County Public Schools and in support of our schools and our district. I am a proud resident, or was a proud resident, for 28 years. I grew up here in Springs, started kindergarten in Miami Springs Elementary, went through Miami Springs Middle, graduated from Miami Springs Senior High. And I can honestly say it's really neat to come back home and see the great growth of the city and the renovation of the city while maintaining its quaint neighborhood. Each of you have a packet, and inside the packet, we are providing some information to you regarding the schools here in Miami Springs. You'll have historical data for performance grades, graduation rates, enrollment data. And although there are a few schools here in your jurisdiction, there are a total of 1,556 school-aged children who reside here in Springs and who attend nearly 104 different schools within Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And we're thrilled to have them participate in choice options for parents, and truly taking advantage of the great programs that Miami-Dade County Public Schools has to offer. You'll notice the map, and within that map, you'll have the school that they are attending, as well as the number of children that are enrolled in those schools. In addition, there is information regarding a number of our programs, including our volunteer program, our mentoring, our internship program, our Alumni 305, which are really great ways to involve our community and our families. We know that Miami Springs is blossoming with new businesses, and that's wonderful to see. So we would like to engage with the city to assist us in reaching out to some of those businesses to provide internship opportunities for some of our students here in Springs Senior High. And if there are any businesses that are looking to add a dynamic member to their team, please feel free to reach out to our office. And in addition to that, you have Parent Academy information. Ms. Mendizábal is responsible for spearheading the re-envisioning of Parent Academy. There are parent webinars, especially during this summer. They're in English, Spanish, Haitian Creole. They take place on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 10 a.m., 6 p.m. We have a slew of Parent Academy webinars for families who have children who are transitioning to kindergarten, transitioning to middle school, helpful tips for kids who are transitioning to senior high schools as well. So please feel free to visit Parent Academy. And as for post-secondary career and technical education, there are 7 technical colleges. The closest one is right here at George T. Baker Aviation. We also have Lindsay Hopkins, which is not too far. There is financial aid available for students who qualify, and you have a very successful adult program at Miami Springs Senior High. You'll find information with programs such as 3D animation, culinary arts, construction, healthcare, cosmetology, information technology, and innovative programs such as these reinforce why MDCPS is truly your best choice. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you.
We're very
Thank you.
fortunate to have the support of Miami-Dade County Public Schools, now the 3rd largest district in the country and a high-performing district, and you do
Yes.
great work for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along to open forum. Erica, do we have anybody online?
No, no one's online and no one signed up.
Okay, so we have nobody for open forum. We move on to approval of council minutes. I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
There is a quorum present. I'm sorry, the motion carries.
There's-
We have no reports.
There's still a quorum present. There is.
You are correct.
Just check.
Okay, no reports, no public hearings, so we move on to consent agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve 9A through D.
I would second that with a discussion on A. I just had a question. So,
Motion to approve.
yes,
Yes.
You will second.
right, with discussion.
Okay.
So I know that the lease agreement with the police department at the substation is an ongoing necessity. So I was wondering, for the lack of better, maybe agreement or terms, I don't see that we're going to be needing this facility for, I would say, a good amount of time. If anything, I would say to project at least another 5 years. I was wondering to see if the landlord would be willing to entertain perhaps a longer lease, maybe for whatever it is proposed today, but for the next 2 to 3 years, or perhaps even 4. I know it's more common in commercial for businesses, maybe 3, just for the lack of consistency and reliability. Because I do know that, prices change understandably, but if we can get something where we don't have to worry about this for another 3 years, I think that I'm not sure if the landlord would be willing to
We
entertain
can
that.
always ask, and maybe Chief could reach out to the landlord tomorrow, and we'll have that discussion.
Okay, so is this something that we should approve now to amend after, or should we make an inquiry? What do you guys?
If I would recommend approving, and then
Okay.
let us come back and see if we can,
Okay.
and then after the fact, we can.
Yeah, so that way Chief, they.
In
don't have to
case,
come
in case
back
he,
here.
in case he says no, flat out
Right.
no,
Yeah.
then at least I'll have the authority and I don't have to
Right.
wait.
So if we can save $5,000 or $6,000 in 3 years, hey, it's something,
Okay.
but,
I like to support that,
okay.
Councilwoman. I appreciate your thinking on that because I don't believe that we're going to be able to resolve the space issue and space
first.
needs of the Miami Springs Police Department anytime soon. It's on our radar. It's
Mhm.
part of our, longer range plans. So I appreciate you thinking of that. And also, if we make a commitment for a couple of years, then the landlord might be willing to lower the rent,
Yeah.
because he's gonna have a client, folks, occupants there for that time. So I would support approving this and then if we can, talk further on that, that would be a good thing. Seems to me.
Okay, I'm good. You can call a
Okay.
vote if you wish, Mayor.
That being said, we have a first and a second.
Yes.
Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, we have 10, old business, none. We have new business 11A.
I'll go ahead and read it. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, calling a special election on November 5th, 2024, for the purpose of submitting to the electorate of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, a charter amendment, providing requisite ballot language, providing for balloting and election procedures, providing for notice of election, providing for copies, providing for charter amendment election procedures and related details, providing for inclusion in the charter, providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date. Vice, has the mayor joined?
Yes, not.
She's not, okay. So Vice Mayor and Council, this resolution, I know all of you have had briefings, so you're familiar with it. The resolution has the one ballot question that you requested at your last meeting. Just for the sake of those tuning in, I'll go ahead and read it. The proposed ballot question would have a ballot title of 4-year staggered terms of office and November elections. We tried to keep it short, sweet, and to the point to convey the message of what you're actually trying to do here. And the question reads as follows. The city charter provides that the mayor and council are all elected for 2-year terms at general municipal elections held in April of odd-numbered years. The proposed charter amendment provides for a transition to 4-year staggered terms for mayor and council, with elections to be held in November of even-numbered years. Shall the above described amendment be adopted? As I've shared with you on prior occasions, we are limited in how long ballot questions can be. So we have tried to, as simply as possible, convey in 75 words or less what it is that you are trying to do. So despite the brevity of the question, it does not mean that the issue is not complex,
Right.
as I know we've all appreciated. Attached to the draft resolution as an exhibit is the proposed text for the actual charter if the ballot question were to be approved by the electorate. So if you were to vote yes on this resolution this evening and this resolution were to pass, the next steps would be that this would be sent to the supervisor of elections. They would include the question and ballot title that I just read on the November 2024 election ballot. Most likely, this will be the very last question on the ballot. So we start with the presidential, who are you picking for president? And then we go down the line through state constitutional amendments, county questions, and then the municipal question. So this will be the last thing. If voters are interested in reviewing what you are proposing to them and actually seeing the text of the charter, it is attached to the resolution, and I'm sure that the clerk's office and administration and all of us will work together to have this on the website in an easily accessible format for your residents to view. I'm happy to go over the proposed text. I can on to Zoom and share my screen if that makes it easier, if you want to have discussion, however you would like to handle it, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Prior to discussion, do we have a motion to approve 11A and then we can discuss?
I second that.
No, I'm asking for a motion.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I'll make a motion to approve the.
Okay, do we have a second?
11A.
I'll second.
Okay, all right. Do we have any discussion on?
Through the chair.
11A, go ahead.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought about this, we've had several conversations, and I've also been talking to, residents and kind of gauging things. And it's going to be very important that even though it's going to be in the ballot in November, that we actually develop an educational campaign an informational campaign, including possibility of 1 or 2 open forums. Maybe we could have at the rec center or somewhere appropriate where folks could come in and get information, and we can have conversations about this. So I think that's going to be very important.
Good
It's
point.
taken me a few minutes each time I talk to someone to really explain what are the nuances here.
Point well taken. Any other discussion?
No, look, I mean, obviously, I've been in favor of staggering for a lot of reasons that we mentioned before. I think it's a way to avoid having any change in direction and policy and so forth. So, yes, and a little bit tricky on the part of the November or the April. I know that's like a mixed bag of our community, and obviously, an ideal world would be to separate it, and have that question by itself. But we also have to have a consensus here to put something on the ballot. So I'm fine with the options that we put in front of us, but unless, you guys feel a little different on the separate question for November and April. But if not, the staggering to me is important enough that it should stay on. the
Thank
way it
you.
is.
I did want to address a couple things that have come up that have been posted online. Again, I think that you can't overstate the fact that there are 35 municipal governments in Miami-Dade County, and 32 of them have 4-year terms and staggered elections. And also that the model city charter, which is internationally, but definitely nationally, that's the gold standard for what is suggested for the best form of governance. It's literally done as a model for people to compare what they do against. So there's a reason why almost everybody in Miami-Dade County certainly does it that way. I know that there have been questions about that this is something that was voted on before. It was voted on 12 years ago. A lot of things have changed in 12 years, particularly, the demographic of the city has changed, and just things change. Again, I had a resident said to me, like, why wouldn't you guys vote to let the residents decide on this? Which I think is a point well taken, because at the end of the day, our decision to approve this ballot language is just to put it in the hands of the voters. And if they want it, that's fine. And if they don't, that's fine as well. I do agree with Councilman Vasquez. I think it's important for people to note that unless you've been up here on the dais and tried under the constraints of sunshine laws that don't allow you to talk about city business among the members of the council, it makes it very difficult to get things done, because everything has to be done publicly at a public hearing that's noticed twice a month on Mondays. And that your summers get very busy with budget conference. So it makes it difficult to get things done. So that is the impetus behind why almost all municipalities do the 4-year terms. I think I know that it wasn't until after my first couple of years that I felt comfortable, like I understood the inner workings of how we do things. I think there's also been a question about accountability for our elected officials, obviously, because some people have suggested there's some kind of like cronyism for politicos. I think it was said, if there's any type of even a hint of corruption or anything like that, there always could be a recall if there is any appropriate behavior by anybody on the dais. We've been fortunate. We are not that kind of city. We haven't had that issue. But I think also, if things don't go the way the voters feel, like, decisions can't be made up here without at least 3 votes. There has to be consensus. So the fact that you're staggering means that you can break up consensus if the if the decision-making body is doing things that are just out of left field and not what the voters want. So you could easily, with staggered elections, break up anything that voters may feel they want to hold the council accountable to, because there's no one individual up here that can make decisions. There has to be consensus. So I don't think I think that's a spurious argument. And again, I think that the 4-year terms allow for continuity, allow you to do some bigger thinking. And I think that as much as we went back and forth about November, I believe the mayor, that was a concern that she had about the politicization of elections when it's in November. I think that you're going to get more people to vote. And I definitely know that it's going to be a cost savings for the city. It's going to cost about a third of the price versus a standalone. So that is what we voted on. Is there any further discussion before we call the vote? Go ahead.
Yes, I want to second what Councilman Fahed has mentioned. Particularly, I've had maybe 3 dozen, maybe a little more conversations with folks. And when I shared with them what it is we're proposing, the single one thing that almost everyone immediately said, yes, 2 years is not enough. You're in a year and then you got to start ready to run again. So, and I think that the councilman outlined the talking points as to why. So, thank you.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I mean, there's many ways to view this telescope, right? So I think it's just at the end of the day how you feel as a voter. Today I'm going to vote the way that I probably vote at the ballot. I just feel that I'm going to tell you, because this is on my 4th year now, right? But I think it's a matter, I get the consistency of 4 years and all that, but I also do think that in 2 years, you can get whatever it is that you need to get done. If it's a project that's going to take you more than 2 years, it's nothing that you can't start and maybe not finish, even if you're not serving on the council. Those are just projects that are signed, sealed, and delivered, and you may not see them come to fruition. But I also kind of like the accountability that I have to my constituents, having that press for time moment and making sure that I'm on check too with what I need to deliver, what I was voted to do. And, we're all going to vote in different ways, but I kind of, I don't see how securing 4 years is going to make anybody work any harder or any faster or finish any more projects than they anticipated in 2 years. That's just my opinion, but I'm not daggering what's going on here. It's just, I think that there's just many angles to see this. It's just ultimately what you feel comfortable with.
Well, for all the years that I've been on the other side, I kind of, took it for granted and then questioned and threw my little points whenever I could. And now that I'm on this side, it's a lot of work. And I can probably say that I haven't stopped working, and JC's phone probably can say that we haven't stopped trying to get stuff on the dais and move forward. I mean, constantly. But look, I give you an example. I brought up strategic planning. Here we are, basically over a year later, and we haven't yet to go back to it because there's so much stuff to do. So much to do. So to me, it's definitely proof is in the pudding. There's no way.
Bring it back.
I'm not telling nobody else is working harder. Everybody here works hard, but I don't see how you can really get so much accomplished in a 2-year period, especially if you have to run for a council. So to me, staggering is the way to go.
Any other discussion?
No.
Okay. Call the vote.
4 years.
Yes.
One point. I wanted to point out that the seats that we included, and this is, I know all of you got this in your briefings, but for the members of the public the way that it's proposed is that the mayor and the council member in group one would be elected in April of 2025 to a term ending in November 2028. And that's in order to create the staggering of terms. The council members in groups 2, 3, and 4 would be elected at the April 2025 election and would hold office until a successor is elected at the November 2026 election. So you would still have your April 2025 election, but your first November election would be November of 2026. And so mayor group 1 would be 25 to 28. 2, 3, and 4 would be April 25 to November 26. I know there's people who are concerned about term limits. This does provide for anyone who's elected at that April 2025 election to serve up to 10 consecutive years. As you know, your current term limits are for 8-year consecutive terms. We do allow people to take a break from service and return to council. So we do have that. But in order to provide for the staggering and the 4-year terms, we did have to build in a cushion, either making it a downward adjustment or an upward adjustment. We went with the upward adjustment. By my calculations, if you were to have an entirely new council in April of 25, let's assume that were the case, the longest anyone would serve would be 9 years, 7 months, and those would be the individuals elected to groups 2, 3, and 4. And the shortest would be 7 years, 7 months. And that's assuming that you have all new people and that they serve the full term that they could under this charter provision. It works out pretty similarly if we were to assume, it works out basically the same. So I just wanted to point that out so that it's clear that no one would be serving more than 10 years. If anyone had a question about the term limits, we tried to be as explicit as possible in the text of the charter so that there wouldn't be any doubts, that no one is getting a start at 0. In other words, because you are all incumbents, this is really where the question could come up is, would you now be able to get a new 10-year term? Is that what we're saying? No, that is not what we are saying. What we are saying is you've already served, Jackie, you mentioned you said something like, I've been up here 4 years. Correct. You wouldn't start at 0 come April of 25. You would have up to another 6 years in your case to serve. So we wanted to make that really clear because we do know that people are, it's important to clarify what the term limits are, so.
And Heidi, that's to get the staggering started,
Correct.
right?
The staggering and the 4 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? Nope. Erica, call the vote.
Vice Mayor Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bravo,
No.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
The motion carries 3-1.
Okay, moving on to 12A, an update by Sylvia Vargas, City Planner, on the Activate Southeast Springs Northwest 36th Street and Abraham Track timeline. Welcome, Sylvia.
Good evening.
Evening.
More than giving you just an update on the timeline, I want to give you an update on the project. It's just a teaser, just to whet your appetite a little bit, maybe not too much. But as you know, we have been busy with a lot of different things, and this has been delayed from the original timeline that we set, which was very ambitious, and Heidi warned me. And she was right. We came back with an adjusted timeline, and we're still behind that because, by now I was hoping that we would have put to bed the gateway. We're still not there, but We have a draft that we hope to bring back to you soon and to have that wrapped up. So with this one, I just wanted to kind of show you a couple of things. The first one is, of course, we have our branding, and I'm really proud of this branding because I think it's really cool, you know? Shannon did a fabulous job with this little brand. I think the color palette is beautiful. It sort of calls back to your own brand, and you know, there's this sort of active verb that we have there. It's a branding that could be eventually used in marketing or transition to something else. So I like that very much. Just for people to understand what we're talking about, it is actually the southeast corner of your city. The Northwest 36th Street corridor and the Abraham Tract. So we're kind of looking at them as a whole, even though they're very distinct districts, as well as having distinct parts within the districts. So this is part of the mapping that we're doing as part of our analysis that we're going to bring back as part of a more comprehensive presentation a little bit later, not just for you, but for the public. But I wanted to just give you a taste for what we're working on. This is my sort of update on the process status. It's a little disappointing, but we are working. With the data collection, the mapping, we're almost done. And with that, we're going to have enough material to really create the website that we wanted to, that is going to be an active, engaging website for the public to be able to not just get information, but also to provide input. Our existing conditions analysis, I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but there's two parts to it. One is sort of the urban planning, urban design, physical conditions and trends analysis. We're almost done. We have a little bit more mapping to do, and then we just have to sort of bring it all together into a cohesive narrative. Our economic and market analysis is almost done. In fact, I would think that if Eric was here to make this presentation, he would say that he is done. But I don't like to do that because he hasn't presented to you yet. And so we're going to say he's 95% complete. He and I and some of my colleagues will come back, like I said, to have a little bit of a workshop with all of you and with the public. We have been holding our stakeholder meetings that we talked about back in January. It's been a little bit challenging, and even though and I'll tell you a little bit more about that effort, we did a lot of public outreach. We haven't had, perhaps in numbers, what we wanted. We're still working on that because there are some key stakeholders in that district that we want to get their input. But in quality, I think we have gotten some really good input. We'll tell you more about that when we come back. I know we talked about having something that I was calling the mini summit, and that may still be the case. We've had some logistical difficulties in trying to schedule, for the different parties that I wanted to bring together. So we're rethinking that plan a little bit, but I do want to focus on getting our analysis and getting our stakeholder interviews done, because that's what's going to provide us the impetus to go out to the general public. And I want to have a little bit more of a sense of what it is that we are going to present. Even though we're not there yet with that phase, we're already sort of seeing some of the themes for the vision for this district. And so I'm going to say that we have sort of started to think about that. We're starting to think about sort of brainstorming about concepts, throwing some crazy ideas around, not necessarily imagining that all of them are going to work out, but they're ideas. And then the vast majority of the tasks that we have in our last phase, obviously they have not begun, but they are slightly delayed. And I will show you my new timeline towards the end. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about the tasks that we have been working on. For the initial stakeholder outreach, we put together what became a paper and digital flyer. We actually went out ourselves and we distributed these flyers out to about, I think that maybe 50, I say 50, but I think it was more like 75 because I did my part and then my feet got tired and Antonio went out twice more and handed out many more of those and talked to people at the businesses. And so he actually had a lot more interaction. But despite that, and despite that, the fact that we went out with digital invitations as well, and also performed very targeted outreach to some of the stakeholders that we wanted to reach, which, by the way, I just want to say, you know, this is not to exclude anyone, but this first phase, we wanted to go and talk to the businesses that are in those districts, the hotel operators, the landowners, the developers that are working in those districts, to hear their perspectives on the challenges that they have, the opportunities that they see. And so that effort is what we concentrated on. We're going to come back and do more, more general outreach to the community once we have something to talk to them about. So we are still, like I said, doing some outreach to some of the stakeholders from that first effort. And we're compiling all of our conversations into, sort of like what we see as the themes of those conversations. I mentioned also that we're working on our existing conditions analysis. I'm not going to show you, these are just like, again, just like a peek. There's nothing extraordinary about this, but this is just an effort on our part to collect data so that we, in mapping it and sort of trying to understand patterns and history and what it means to this district to have the kinds of regulations that we have and the kinds of structural factors and structural constraints that we have. There are a lot of those. There are a lot of constraints. And so we just don't, we all sort of know what they are, but we wanted to understand from like a factual standpoint. So this is kind of the work that we've been doing. We're almost done. Like I said, it's been challenging because some of the information we have been trying to get is from external agencies like the Aviation Department and FDOT, and it's been really, really difficult to do. But we'll come back with some of this effort and in a different, more comprehensive presentation. I do want to spend just a little bit of time talking about the economic and market study. Like I said, Eric Liff from Lambert is going to come here personally and give you his more detailed presentation. For the time being, I just wanted to kind of say that his analysis, which is both regional and local, suggests that there is a very robust demand for new multifamily development and hotel development that could be accommodated in this district. There is a lot of sort of looking for opportunities for this kind of development. Retail and office are strong, but in a support role for these two other uses. So it's not like you're going to have a whole, according to his findings, at least not a whole retail district or office buildings that are just there by themselves, but that would be supportive of other uses like the hotels and multifamily. For the Abraham Tract, is one of the areas where we have found the most significant barriers to development from the proximity to the airport, although that also represents an opportunity. And indeed, kind of looking at what it means to continue this airport support type of activity with lodging and even some kinds of light industrial logistical use that supports the airport and ancillary office and commercial. So we're exploring all of that. So far, the feedback that we have received from the stakeholders that we have talked about, without us telling them anything, that now none of the work that we have done, just what they have told us validates everything that we have been finding with respect to this in terms of the opportunities that they see, the reasons why they're here, the reasons why they're looking here. And so I think that's very encouraging. But with that, again, I don't want to be too much of a Debbie Downer, but we do have some significant barriers, and some of them are regulatory, in fact, because it's interesting that we actually have mixed use development already in this district in our code. But then we have some language, for example, in your charter that says that if you have more than 2 residential units, which means something that is not single family, right? It's more than 2 units is going to be multifamily, then you can only go up to 40 feet. Well, you can't really do multifamily well and attract the kind of development that you want to attract to this district. And that's a constraint that you have, right? There are other sort of contradictory items in there that we have to explore. But again, we're going to come back with something more detailed, more comprehensive, and present to you later. So just going to throw out a couple of the crazy ideas that we've been talking about without going into any detail right now. I mentioned that there are distinct sub-areas, especially along the Northwest 36th Street corridor. So we're kind of thinking, well, what could we do? Could we, create new districts that reflect and try to support that distinct character in different ways? Should we go with an overlay approach? Should we look at changing the district boundaries? Should we enlarge the district boundaries? How would we do that? Would that work? The Airport Golf District has come into discussion because that's a very distinct little area over there with another distinct area that is part of the Northwest 36th Street corridor. It's very different from the rest of it. And so,
Golf District, where is that?
That is basically that sort of little almost like an L actually
front of
area
Peters.
around the golf course on the south side of the golf course.
In front.
Or in front of
Let me
us?
put the map up.
Back up, yeah.
Yeah, this is actually, let me go back this one. So you see my cursor here? That is part of it, and this is part of it.
So that's called Airport Golf.
Airport Golf, yes.
Hmm.
All right. So that's like, okay, so could this be part of the discussion? Should it be part of a future discussion? What happens to that area? And again, like the consideration of what to do with that charter height constraint only for the multifamily, not for the in fact, not even for the multifamily, only for the multifamily in this district, nowhere else. Because even, you have multifamily in other areas, it doesn't need to be changed. Nothing else needs to be changed. Even for the Abraham tract, originally, we were like, well, that could be a good area for multifamily, but it's not because the airport zoning does not allow it. So it would only be a consideration if you want to do multifamily in this Northwest 36th Street district somewhere, perhaps not even everywhere. But that's just something that I leave here with you to think about. And I'm not going to, make you go through this whole graphic, but you can see that I'm sort of starting to put another month tagging on to the end there. And perhaps even like a month and a half, and perhaps even 2 months. They're not there yet. But, now we're getting into the summer months and there's recess and people go away. And so I don't really want to be trying to schedule public meetings when everybody's out, obviously. So that's kind of why there's a gap. There might be more of a gap, but, I'm still optimistic that we can finish towards the end of this year, at least to have something to bring back for first reading, if nothing else. So that's kind of where I am. So next we have, a bunch of things that we're still working on. I mentioned them already. We're still reaching out to some of the stakeholders, property owners, developers, others in that area that we want to talk to. We'll be setting up our project website this month too, and wrapping up our existing conditions study. Hoping that we will be able to schedule that workshop that I would like to have with you, and maybe even possibly invite your advisory boards that we have been talking about, sort of getting their input. They review projects in those areas. And I think it's worth talking to them as well in August perhaps, and start planning for our open house and the outreach that goes with that event. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Sylvia. Anybody have questions, comments?
Not as of right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I would just add that that kind of strategic thinking is exactly what we need. And that's the kind of thing I think back to when we convened the Economic Development Task Force, which was more than 2 years ago already. And then after it was presented, we really didn't do a lot with it. And it's not for lack of trying. I feel like it's just a matter of bandwidth. So I'm really happy that we last year during the budget process set aside some money for this to do as a special project with CGA, and that we could start to have some of this big thinking. I'm going to go ahead and assume that won't make it onto the ballot. I know that was a ambitious goal that we had to get it onto
For the charter
November
changes.
ballot, right?
I think what we had discussed was going through this process and then possibly putting it onto the April 25
On the
ballot,
April
because you're gonna have that election anyway.
Sure.
So I was actually just sending an email to Madam Clerk to find out what the ballot
And that was
issue
right.
deadline
Yeah.
is, so that add this teaser, we can start at least thinking about what is that question, if you decide to put on a question.
Sure, if there is something that
going
we
to
decide to
look
put
like,
on the ballot, right?
So we'll bring back that information so you guys have it. Send it.
Did you have a
I'm
comment?
good. I'm good.
Okay, well,
I took a lot of notes, but it's all to throw in the pot. Oh, that was the biggest.
well, I definitely we appreciate the efforts, because I think there was pretty broad consensus up here on the dais that this was something that was important, that we needed to think strategically about the future of the city in terms of economic development within the context of everything that's happening. As you guys know, there's state laws that are being passed that can affect these kinds of things, and so I'm glad that we're moving forward inexorably towards doing some high level thinking on this that we could take to the city to see how we can position ourselves for the future economically. So thank you, Sylvia.
Through the chair.
Sure.
Sylvia, is there any further or more support that you need so that we can try to not go past your new schedule? Are you in need of support? Is there a window where you know that can have some more attention or time? You just don't have the staff, or
No, I don't think that's been the difficulty. It's more trying to get people to actually come and talk to us. Everybody's busy. We're busy. Everybody's busy.
who's the people?
Well, I mean, we had a list of about, I don't know, over 100, property owners. Some of it was that information was out of date. For example, we sent emails came back, because those businesses, sometimes they change. And the database that the city keeps is not always necessarily up to date. I know you all know many of these people, so if I need to, I may reach out to someone to say, hey, can you maybe call someone and tell them to talk to us. But right now I think that I just need to make that last effort, and if not, then I'll ask for that help. Don't worry, I will do it.
No, I know. I was just wondering if there was maybe a better method to do that instead of email or I don't know if there has to be
I'm sure there would. And, for that reason, I believe that phone calls probably would be the best.
Okay.
But for my part, I don't necessarily think it's effective for me to be doing cold calling.
That's why I was like wondering if there's somebody that can help
Yeah.
you just to
I'll
focus on that,
be
because you
happy
have a lot of
to,
work.
to mention the specific stakeholders that I still have not been able to talk to
Yeah.
separately if you want
Like
to.
an assistant or something that can get
Yes,
that ball going
absolutely.
for you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Sylvie. Okay, moving on to 13, reports and recommendations from our city attorney.
Nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you. Reports and recommendations from our city manager.
Yes, Vice Mayor, thank you so much. I was trying at this meeting to have the proposal that I got for the impact fee study. It is a large number. It's comes out to about $156,415. That's for 4 impact fees though. So they broke it down. I don't have it on the agenda yet because I wanted to get from them, I gave them some of the projects that were already built here and some that are coming up. So I can give you guys an idea of what these impact fees would generate. So you can see that it is a worthwhile investment. I also, Chris, our finance director, when I first told him the number, he just looked at me. So he's on vacation right now with his family. I wanted him to kind of feel more comfortable where we were going to get this money for in the short term. But then I know I had a conversation with Councilman Santeen, and he's like, hey, you know, we really need to push this forward, want to push this forward. And I understand that desire. So I'm bringing this to you guys, and he wanted to see if he can just give us direction. You know, I would like to have this company come in and explain the process a bit, probably virtually, explain the proposal and the process involved. But anyway, I'll let him.
Yeah, I mean, the key here is that time. We have a couple projects that possibly could pretty much cover this cost.
That's fine.
And we were trying to get it more accurate, not just appraisers, feasibility numbers, but impact fees are pretty big. And one project could pretty much wipe out the cost of that. So to waste any more time, it's amazing that we have gone this far. It is what it is. It's water under the bridge. Probably 90-something% of all cities have impact fees. We did not. That's how cities take care of infrastructure. So to me, I would love to see if we could get the consensus from our council to just tell them, bring this to the table, because to waste another month, it might just be just that month that we needed to get all that money back on one project. So to me, it seems like a waste of time, when at the end of the day, I think we should, at least I believe, it's so important to have these impact fees in place. So we could just direct them to continue doing what he's doing and present something to us for approval.
Through the chair, I agree that we need to have impact fees. So it's kind of astonishing that I just learned this a little while back. Are those projects that are happening or going to happen for sure? Are they set in stone?
The projects themselves?
You're asking me to throw the bait and hoping the fish to hook. We need a study.
The
but
one that was recently approved, that I have no indication to believe that they're not going to be building it. However, this study does take time. So, well, I'm not going to sit here and promise you that the impact fees are going to be in place in time for those. I can't. Not in good.
But it's
not-
possible.
They can't be
not-
subject to? They can't be subject
No,
to?
Change the
that you
permits.
can't hold them up. It's from, you know, when they apply for their permit, it's not like you can or submit for permits.
And there's only one company that has provided a proposal to do impact fees, or is
This
it
is one of the company, well, this is a company that does this a lot. And one that I've used before, and Calvin Giordano also, they've recommended, and there's one of the ones that they recommended. So I contacted them the really quick, and they're a good company. So
okay? And do we have money to fund that?
Chris, that's when I needed Chris to come back from vacation, so we can see how we can do it.
I'm okay with it if we have the money.
Well, I think that's one of those things that we've always done.
No, it's not. Because
No, I'm saying that, you know, here we are, we don't have the budget, we can't do this, we can't hire
and we
this
have budget
person.
coming up now too.
No, this is such a big impact. That's why
No,
it's
we
called
need it.
impact
I'm
fees,
not disagreeing with you. Not disagreeing with you.
like big. So I'm just saying, we'll have to find it. my humble opinion. We will
No,
do
we'll
our
have to
best.
find it because we give away money, so we'll find it.
We'll find it. So I just want to get the direction. We can have the consensus.
It sounds like we have direction from the council for staff to work on this. I mean, I wouldn't single out any particular businesses that are beginning projects. It's not about
Yeah,
trying
it's
to
not
get
about,
this
it's
is
not,
just
this is,
again,
No, but we're
any-
selling the point that we have business going on that can potentially cover the cost. So I just want to separate the two because we can't gamble on one without, for sure that it's gonna happen. Just go out as a raw slate.
what I would say is that it sounds like staff is moving forward, trying to expedite this, and I trust that we'll get it done. Again, anytime 90% of municipalities are doing something and we're not, I think that warrants us looking at why we are not. And I think if most people, if the vast majority of people have impact fees, I think it's something that we need to work on, regardless of what may be coming down the pike. And as long as staff is trying to expedite it as judiciously as possible, I think that's a good thing. Sure.
if you, look, if you want, if I can keep this moving forward, and I know Heidi wants to chime in. If you want me to keep this moving forward, I'll make sure that I can cross the financial issue as far as with finance,
Yes.
once he returns from his vacation. And then I can kind of brief you all on that. But just try to keep it, and I'll just try to keep it moving forward as much as I can.
Yes.
I was gonna offer two things for consideration. If you're going to be voting on this tonight, we do need to open it up for public comment since it wasn't on the agenda. And separately, sort of as a go-between, because I do realize that there's budget issues involved and where we're paying for this. So what we could do is approve an agreement with Alfred Benesh and Company. And for the impact fee study, you could authorize the manager to go up to his spending authority, which I believe is now 25,000. And so up to spending authority. And then at our July meeting, possibly come back, ratify an agreement with them for the remainder. So perhaps if there's 4 studies, maybe they can get started on whatever the priority one is
Right.
up through your spending authority, and then come back and we'll approve the rest. So sort of.
Are we just going with one person without RFP? I'm not trying to delay. I'm just trying.
No,
trying to
what,
understand.
well, this company has another contract with Northport in Florida. I was trying to utilize that, but in any case, we would waive bidding requirements in this particular case. And so,
So through the chair, George, do you want to waive bidding requirements or do you want to see what offers are for the same result? I want to move forward, but I just want to make sure that.
I mean, I feel confident that
What a motion.
Oh, you feel confident?
the city must.
Would somebody like to make a motion to authorize the city manager to work with that company to conduct a study up to his spending authority, and then
It's coming back to us. Yeah.
and then, later on, we'll talk about the balance of it. Would someone like to make that?
that's
motion?
fine. But I will be perfectly clear before committing the city into anything. I'm gonna speak I'm gonna wait for finance to come back and make sure it's okay.
Of course.
So I would have to do that. That would be, I don't know, I think in a week, we can have when he comes back from vacation.
Through the chair, would we get a better deal on segments or versus the whole plan? So that's something that we need.
No,
to
he's,
do.
this proposal, they break it down into the different categories. You have,
No, but what Heidi was proposing was that they started off with phase 1, 25,000 up to the threshold, and then the next and the next. I don't know if that may be the.
oh, no,
next-
this would be based on this one proposal. It wouldn't, it authorized me to enter into this contract, or to negotiate the agreement, for the full amount, but I mean, I would only be able to start off like, Heidi, in the scenario,
They be
is
separate
up to
resolutions?
25,000.
Sure. Come on up, Sylvia, if you have something.
Kind of wanted to explain how these typically work from my experience. There is a single study, right? So the company, whichever company, they're gonna come in, they're gonna start with, a phase that looks at all these different factors. And then there are these components. They're not necessarily phases, but it depends on what each community wants to charge an impact fee on, right? So is it police? Is it parks? Is it county libraries?
stormwater.
Stormwater, solid waste. I mean, it could be a whole bunch of different things. In this case, JC has selected 4, or in the city has selected 4 that they want to look at. So they're going to be looking at those in the framework of this sort of overall study. So it's not like it's, for different studies necessarily, but, there's going to be 4 components that they would be looking at.
Yeah, at the end of this, I mean, if the council so chooses, we can have 4 impact fees for 4 different areas. Yeah, we're looking at stormwater, government facilities, parks and recreation, and police.
Those are the impact fees that we're.
Those
looking at?
would be the impact fees that
Or
we.
these
that we
are
charge.
Oh, I see.
They go separated to all of them.
So the stormwater one is the biggest chunk there, because there they have to do another study that unfortunately we don't have the data here in the city. And they have to do a impervious area study. They got to do that first before we can start developing the stormwater impact fee.
Yeah, it's a little.
And then I've also asked them to look at our stormwater rate as well to make sure that we are charging enough in that area. So,
And that takes care of the development.
yes. And then I want to make it clear, this is a fee on new development, on the impact that new development has on city services.
Mhm.
So I don't want anybody to think, oh, we're going to be charging residents. It's not like that.
Mm-mm.
We have a motion to authorize the city manager to negotiate that and get that study going, and with the understanding that he is going to report to us after he's met with finance to talk about budget implications.
I'm okay with that.
Make a motion.
Hi, do you need a vote?
Second.
Make a motion.
I don't think.
Oh, you got a
we're-
second.
So moved.
We have to
by-
open it up for public hearing, you said?
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
So is there a motion and a second?
I believe it was so
Second,
moved by
I'll second that
Santine
motion.
and seconded by
By Vasquez.
Vasquez.
And
Do we need to open it up for a public hearing?
You should, yes. I believe there's one person in the audience other than staff.
Dave?
That's you, buddy.
I don't know if
You actually have
Hi,
something to
David.
say?
Mr. Vargas.
I'll take your name. when
Just
you-
just
you say it
making
for
the
record.
making the point.
Good evening, David Vargas, 33 Whitethorn Drive. I just came up to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness, this guy.
There you go. You got 2 supports.
There we go. Now we have 3 people in the audience who are not staff. We're taking public comment on.
No public.
comments.
No public comment. Is there anyone online, Madam Clerk?
No, there's not.
Okay.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Right.
City
And
manager,
that's
do
all
you
I have to
You're
report.
That's all you have.
Reporting.
I know, but one last thing, and I'll make it quick. Last week, we had a pretty sizable sinkhole at the tennis court. And I do need to acknowledge Public Works for the job they did. They went out there, responded quickly, and they took care of the situation. Apparently, through this area, there's an old, I'm gonna say around 36-inch abandoned wooden sewer pipe from the 1900s.
Holy, wooden sewer pipe.
And a wooden sewer pipe, and it's completely, well, it was wooden, now it's nothing,
It's
you know,
not.
it just has the metal rebar around it and it's collapsed. So what happens is it creates sinkholes. And in this particular case, the heavy rains kind of created it, and they came in and it just did a great job. I went out there to watch how they were doing it, and it's pretty impressive, and
Yeah.
we got a good crew.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Tammy, do you have anything?
We just have a few events coming up. We have June 28th and July 19th, the Field Nights activities. It's Summer Fun Friday nights. And on June 21st and July 12th, we have a pool night from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Aquatic Center. I just want to remind everybody that we are open for swimming lessons now. We have sessions starting on June 10th, 24th, July 8th, and July 22nd. So those who are interested, please reach out to the aquatic facility. I also want to remind everybody that on Wednesdays, we're doing just for summer, we're doing the Popsicle Wednesdays. There's free popsicles for anybody who passes by the aquatic center during the hours of 6 to 7 p.m. And then also we have the 4th of July celebration and the car show on July 3rd. So just want to remind everybody to please sign up with Caitlin if you want to join the 4th of July celebration on the parade. And we have a day full of activities that day. Enjoy.
All right, reports from the council. We'll start with Councilman Santeen.
I want to start by, again, of course, always thanking my fellow council, because it makes it a lot easier to be up here and work together. So I appreciate that. Everybody, enjoy your summer. It goes quickly. We'll be back, and we're going to try our best to enjoy that little month of freedom before the heavy lifting starts in August with the budget. But enjoy the summer, be safe, and hopefully I'll see some of you guys out on the 4th of July.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Nothing to report, just, I wish Paul Dell a happy retirement. Wishing everybody a happy, safe 4th of July week and a great, safe summer. I have nothing else to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Vasquez.
Yeah, nothing to report, but just two items that I want to mention is we have in our packet, we have a copy of the House Bill 657, the enforcement of school zone speed limits, and conversations with at the police gala, had several conversations with Chief Deal and with Senator Avila about this. And both of them said in so many words, we are one accident from a real tragedy in this town. And the study that we looked at, and unfortunately, it's a fair number of residents who are also violating the school zone signs. So this is very good. This flyer provides, good information to folks. I think we need to, keep working on this. Hopefully get some educational things done before schools open up in August. I don't know how far we're going to be able to go into actually implementing this, but we're working on this. And, I don't have school age kids anymore, but there are a lot of school age kids. We just heard the report from the school district, school age kids in Miami Springs. And it's just one tragedy would be one too many. Just want to wish everyone a happy 4th. I'm going to be out of town. I always love being here for the 4th of July and participating in the parade. And it's a great day for us as a community and as a country. So happy celebration. I'll be celebrating where I'm going to be. So thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. And just once again, at the end of these meetings, it's always a skeleton crew, and we are blessed to have everybody who's here, because everybody here is doing, God's work and has the best interest of the city in mind. I'm very thankful to be up here with you guys and helping to move the city forward. So thank you to everybody who is here for your hard work. Okay, meeting is adjourned at 8:30.
How are you? Man, if the Panthers don't win today, I'm gonna be in depression. I'm gonna be so depressed. It's the last game.
Awesome. It's gonna be embarrassing.
Hey, how's it going?
No, it's not mine. That's my son, that's my buddy Max.
I was shocked. I always assumed that anybody's on. It seemed like the norm.
I didn't be surprised when I asked the question. What?
I'm glad you're working on that.